Okay, so this video is for the very last part of tutorial 5 for the Mac, starting at about page 264. And if you've done anything with the data, let's see, if you tried subtotals and it didn't work, under subtotals you can go remove all and get rid of those subtotals. But to do the subtotals, there's a couple of things you need to do. The first one is convert your table to a range. This one's already been converted. It was converted before I started, but that would be on the table menu, which, yeah, tables here, and then convert to range, okay, is how you would do that. Once it's converted, you have to sort on categories, okay? Now we can use data and then sort, and we're going to sort by category, okay, and click OK. And we will sort, listen, so before you can subtotal, you have to sort it on the field that you want to subtotal on. Once we have it sorted, then we go to data, subtotals, and we're going to tell it at each change in category. I think it's defaults to art ID, but at each change in category, you want a sum, which is correct. You can change the function if you want to, the appraised value, and click OK. And then every time there's a different category, you can see here, okay, sculpture, oops, there we go. Okay, painting, and all of that. And I apologize, I'm used to using a mouse and I don't have one that works with the Mac, so I'm having to use the touchpad, and I am not as good with that, so appreciate a little patience. Okay, so that's the subtotal that they have you do, and then for the outline view, the buttons are over here, and that is actually the same, so you could have level 1, which is just the grand total, level 2, which just has the category subtotals, or level 3, which is all. And then, ironically enough, when you're done with that, they actually have you go back to subtotals and remove the subtotals from the table. But you will be using subtotals again when you get to the cases, so knowing how to do them is important. Now, pivot tables, and you'll definitely want to read page 270 through 272 to create the pivot table. And then when you have that table set up, you'll go to Insert, and then where do they have it? Safe side, we will highlight the entire thing. Oops, maybe. Okay, and we're going to go Data and Pivot Table. Okay, now we've got that, and it's setting it up automatically for me, which is kind of interesting for that. So let me get rid of little dialog box, and let's see what it did here. It stuck these fields in the category. Now you still have the same setup here, and it still works the same way, but again, for some reason, it's kind of guessing what I want to do. And I do actually want the row labels to be, let's see, I want the row labels to be location. So, and that's what that is. If it didn't say that, what I would do is take location here and drag it down to row labels, okay? I'm not going to do that right now. Oops, now it took it away. So I take location, drag it to row labels. And in Mac, it's easier when you're doing your pivot table to just drag it where you want it, because otherwise it just sticks everything in values, or in my experience it has, and that's not ideal. In the pivot table field list, over here for values, you want it to be appraised value, which again, for this one, it came up like that. If it didn't, I would drag appraised value to the value section. And then categories and conditions, category, we want, let's see, actually in the, it's in column labels for some reason right now. I'm going to move it to the row label section, and I want condition, field also in the row labels box. Anyway, so now we've got that set up, and again, just drag it in as opposed to just checking it. So we've got the pivot tables, and then on page 276 now, which is where we are, active cell is in the pivot table. So we'll click anywhere in here, and pivot table tools here, and we've got this design or styles group, and we want style dark 4, but I don't know that it's really going to matter a whole lot. Let's see if we can even light, medium, dark 4. All right, that looks like that's pretty darn close. And to format the numbers, okay, we come down here and we get this little eye that brings us up the dialog box. Okay, so when you click on that little I button, you get your dialog box. I want to choose number formatting, okay, and I'm going to tell it I want it to be currency, 0 decimal places, and click OK. And then where the field name is up here, instead of sum of appraised value, which is kind of unwieldy, I'm going to add the field name total appraised value, and click OK. And I've got it. Now, that's kind of hard to read the way it is. So I'm going to take this condition field and I'm going to make it a column label. Okay, so now I've got for each location, I've got the category here, and across the top I've got the column labels are the conditions, so I can see how much I have for each condition in the column label. Okay, so we've got that. It was page 277, 278. And then again, we're on the pivot tables design tab, report layout. Let's see if they have that. Yep, they've got layout. And you can do show an outline, okay, which just spreads everything out a little bit. Or again, here on tabular form, okay, and you can see the difference a little bit. And now we're going to go back to our compact layout, which is what we were before. So you can see how you have some different options. Now filters are a different way of viewing the report. If you want to filter, you just drag something. In this case, we'll drag location up to the report filter. That takes it out of the table, but we can pick and choose. Okay, so if we want to show just East Pavilion, actually, no, we want to turn off select all and then add just East Pavilion. Then we're seeing just the information for East Pavilion. Turn select all back on. Let's see. Click OK. All right. And then we'll drag location back to where it was, which was above category. Okay, and close the filter box. Okay, to filter the condition field items from within the pivot table, which is what they're talking about now, the column labels filter, you see that up here? Okay, we have that drop down, and it's going to say filter by, and we can pick. So what we don't want to see is poor. So what I have to do is come down here where it says poor, okay, and just check to turn that off. And now I just see, okay, you can see excellent, fair, and good. Okay, so we've got that. And then the collapse and expand works slightly different here in that instead of a plus and minus, it's an arrow. Let's see, and I click on it and it sort of rotates. So collapsed is pointing towards it. Expanded is pointing down. All right, expand all items in the pivot table. So we've got that going. Okay, sort the pivot table, click cell E5. Okay, so that's right here, the grand total. Okay, and we would go to sort. They have it on the pivot table thing. It does not appear to be, so we will go to data and sort, and we want largest to smallest, which is descending, and it will sort that in descending order for me. Okay. Now just to add a second value, it says I add the title field. So I'm on page 284 now. Add the title field to the values box. So I'm going to take title and I'm going to drag it down to values. And title is words, so we can't do anything but count. And so it comes up as a default to count for that. And we've got this. And there's the pivot table. Oh, and up here they're going to have you do like that and change count. I just double clicked on that and that just changed it to count and click OK because we don't need it to say count of title for that. To remove the title field, and now we're done with it, all you have to do is drag it out of the box and it's gone. So it takes it back out, okay? And then on page 285 in the show group on the pivot table tools option, so we'll go back to our pivot table tools and they don't have it grouped the same way. Where's so the plus or minus, we get view. I think that's headers, yeah. So where it says plus or minus buttons button, we're going to call that one header. So headers is what that is. If we want to get rid of that, we just click headers and turn that off. To add the location, slicer, guess what? You get to skip slicers. They don't have slicers in the Mac version of right at this point. So slice, you can just completely skip page 285, 286, and 287. Okay. All right, so that's one pivot table. We're jump back here to the art collection now, and let's see. Oops. Back up to the top. Switch the art collection, then find Criddler. All right, so I want to, let's see. Don't do that. Edit, find. And we're going to find Criddler, C-R-I-D-L-E-R. Find next. Okay, where is it? Criddler. Dancing in the light. All right. There it is. So right here, sorry, Art ID 73, click the records appraised value cell and then enter 4,000. So over here, we want that to be 4,000. And enter. And then back to our pivot table, and we need to change the number. So to do that, on the pivot table menu, we have to choose refresh. Okay, and then that will automatically fix the numbers that we changed, and that works the same way for that. Okay. So that was refresh. Okay, now we're going to do a new pivot table. So we're going to go back to art collection. All right, and again, I'm going to select the whole thing. And we're going to do the data pivot table, and it's coming up with already formatted again, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to drag everything out. I don't know why it's coming up pre-formatted. I'm a little surprised by that, but that's okay. Now we have a blank pivot table to start with, and we want to insert, let's see, insert pivot table, art objects. In the pivot table field list, we're going to add date acquired, and we're going to make that the row label. And we want to take art ID and make that a value label. Okay, so we've got that, and we don't want to sum it. It's just the ID number. It doesn't make sense to sum it. So I'll click the I for information. I'll change it to count. And then I will change, click OK for now. Okay, so now we're counting, but I don't really care about the months. I really just care about the years. So under group option here, I want to say group the things by month and click OK. And then it takes each one and sums it groups it by month. Okay, so we've got our month and we've got our count. Okay, for that, let's make that a little wider. Don't know why it shrank it down so much. Okay, sorry, I just realized I'm grouped by year or months instead of years, so I'm gonna backtrack here a little bit. For the group, when we say group selected items, we want to group by years, not months. Click OK. There we go. Now we've got them. Sorry, I totally bailed on that one. And then we've got our let's yeah, pivot chart, which I'm going to expand a little so we can at least read our years here. We don't want the grand total. Let's here. Okay, so it doesn't appear that Excel 2011 has a pivot chart, but you can do something similar simply by selecting just the data that you want to do and inserting a cluster column chart, and you'll get that. And then you can just delete the legend there, and you've got your chart. And I believe if you filter, let's see if we can filter this by that, and we turn off select all. If we do the filter, in this case, we just wanted 2010 through 2013. Oops. Okay, it adjusts our chart. Oops, somehow I included the grand total. Okay, sorry. You'd think I would, in that one. Okay, get rid of that. I think that'll do it. Nope. Okay, so it's not going to work the same way. Don't panic about it for that. But that is kind of the end of it. Okay, hope that